The Isle of Siptah is home to many strange creatures, but one of the oddest groups is that of the First Men. These strange beasts aren't quite as human as us, but what's their story? In a time before time itself, the world was ruled not by humans but by the elder races. Harpies, serpent men, demons and more made up their number, and humans were a slave class beneath them. However, as history has dictated many times over, even the mightiest of empires crumble. In time, the slaves rose up in revolt against the elder races. Outnumbered and overwhelmed, many of them slaughtered, the elders retreated to a lonely island off the coast of what would later become Stygia, the Isle of Siptah. Here they found the tower, and they were safe from the wrath of the humans by the magic of the maelstrom and the shining trapezohedron that summoned it. But they faced another danger. Some races, the serpent men in particular, could not birth young on the island. Protected as they may be, it was a guarantee of slow death for some. Eventually, that guarantee was enough for the serpent men to betray their fellow elders. They received word from others who had hidden beneath the volcano in the kingdom of the Giant Kings, a promise of safety, and news of a freshly birthed creche of young. The serpent men on Siptah stole the shining trapezohedron from the tower and escaped to the volcano, leaving the island vulnerable. The remaining elder races quickly learned of the treachery of the serpent men that had stolen their protection. The gods fell quiet, their sacrifices were fruitless, and the tower was silent. The betrayal shattered the already fragile alliance between the races. Harpy fought against Wolfman, and Wolfman against Demon. The pent-up rage of fear and isolation erupted into a vicious civil war between the elder races. However, as they waged war against one another, the humans had expanded, growing in number and strength, spreading across the mainland. With the power and protection of the maelstrom gone, the humans found the elder races. It had been many years since the Elder Empire fell, but the thirst for vengeance ran deep, and the humans arrived on the Isle of Siptah to wage war against their ancient foes once more. The elder races, already weakened by the vicious infighting, were easily driven across the island by the humans. Realising their dire circumstances, they abandoned the war between each other and found strength in alliance again, with hopes to repel the vengeance of the humans. In that effort, they communed once more with the tower. They contacted the ancient Migo of Yuggoth, the planet where the shining trapezohedron was first forged. The Migo offered guidance, and the elder races sought to reforge their own trapezohedron to harness the power of the maelstrom and commune with their gods once more. It took almost all of their power, but eventually it was a success, and the tower churned back into life. A shroud of safety was cast over Siptah again, the humans there enslaved once more beneath the elder races. The threat of extinction faded, and the Haunter of the Dark, an avatar of the great Nyarlathotep, brought word of the gods. Nyarlathotep was a god in his own right to the Migo of Yuggoth, for whom they constructed the shining trapezohedron to contain the avatar of the Haunter. He offered the elder races a path to regroup and regrow, and hide in safety from mankind's vengeance. Centuries passed, and the elder things claimed home on the island, finding solace in comfortable places. However, they did not account for the trickery of the entities from the outer dark. The reforged trapezohedron held one fatal flaw. The maelstrom grew unstable, ripping tree and stone from the island and rending reality itself, beckoning in creatures not of this world. These things knew not of the wars nor the struggle, nor did they care. All they sought was a way to sate their dark, nameless hunger. The storm and the creatures of the outer dark ravaged the Isle of Siptah. The elder races constructed great vaults to hide from the storm, and the humans were destroyed by the things from the outer dark. But not all of them. Before waging war on the elder races on Siptah, the first men had spread across the Thurian continent as the progenitors of the numerous human races found in the modern day. Those who became trapped and enslaved on Siptah when the trapezohedron was reforged, however, met a very grisly fate. When the maelstrom ripped open reality, many perished to the strange beasts from the outer dark, but those who avoided death fled to the southern isles. Unprotected by the vaults and isolated from the races of the mainland, their survival hinged on a small population of survivors. The remaining humans fell into interbreeding and degeneracy on those southern islands. Through centuries of these practices, they began to devolve. They grew primitive, losing the impetus of intelligence and society, fueled only by their primal desire to survive. This practice continued until they became more beast than human, and they are now, as we know them, the first men, a relic of those who would sire humanity into the custodians of the world. In the quest for vengeance against their ancient enemies, the men who waged war on Siptah had doomed themselves. Whilst the myriad of races they fathered would grow and flourish on the Thurian continent, constructing enormous cities, creating weapons and technology, the trickery of the entities of the Outer Dark doomed not only the elder races, but also these men. Isolated from mankind, they sought survival as a paramount aim, and thus became the devolved, primitive peoples we see now. These men, ancient fathers to modern humanity, were tragic victims of the schemes of things beyond our Earth. That is the story of the first men. Thank you for watching. This is one of my first major deep dives into the Isle of Siptah lore, so if you'd like to see more of the story from this cursed isle, do let me know. There's plenty more to discover on this island, and if you guys are interested, then I'm more than interested in discovering it together. That will wrap us up for today. Of course, a massive thanks to our wonderful, esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to get videos like this early and support the channel directly, consider joining us over on Patreon, link in the description and pinned comments. Take care, and I'll see you soon.